One Jets pass rusher getting snubbed, and another one, DJ Khaled coming for the crown. Plus, later in the show, I'll talk about an embarrassing moment that just happened on one of my favorite shows, and it involved me. Not good. Anywho, let's get into it.
Zoinks! It is unequivocally the Super Bowl for New York Jet fans.
Field Yates, baby. Field gosh darn Yates. Let's bring him on the show.
Come on, people. Connor Rogers is joining the show. What's up, Connor? But Trevor gosh darn Sycamore, baby, for me, personally, my favorite New York Jet of all time.
Wow, it's great to be on. What an intro that was right there.
Paul, nobody does an intro like you, man.
Paul, you give the best intro of literally any podcast that I've ever been.
I'm gonna lose my gosh darn bananas. What is up, good people? My name is Paul Eisen Jr., a.k.a. Boy Green. I'm the New York Jets digital reporter for Heavy.com. Welcome to Boy Green Daily, a daily New York Jets video show, also available wherever you get your friggin' podcast, people. And we got plenty to get to here on the show today. First off, right off the top rope, a huge shout out to Snowball. If you're a member of the Boy Green YouTube channel, that YouTube membership, is called the Boy Green Coffee Club. We are adding new emojis, and there's a couple new ones you guys can get to. Anytime you guys write out the word bananas, we'll have a custom, just in honor of losing your gosh darn bananas. All of our YouTube members for bananas can now get the Brian. You know Brian from Family Guy, him in the banana suit? There you go. There's a banana emoji now available when you lose your gosh darn bananas. We also have the Boy Green emoji for any reason you'd want to use that one, where I was at One Jets Drive for their Twitter docuseries. That one is in there as well as another one of Boy Green there. So bananas, there's Boy Green, there's the Coffee Club. Let me make sure I get all the different levels we have. Let me make sure I get to them right. Yeah, so here are our emojis right now. We've got 3 emojis currently. We're working on more. Coffee Club, if you type in that, you'll get the Boy Green coffee mug. If you type in Boy Green, well, you'll get me holding my hands to my head. That was a professional photo the New York Jets took. And then bananas, which is Bananas for those who are trying to spell that. That is a banana. So we got a couple of different emojis out there for you guys to be able to use. So we'll keep adding more as they come. And the more memberships we get, the more emojis we can unlock. So we get the Boy Green, the bananas, the Coffee Club. And if you guys have suggestions for different... yeah, Zoinks. That's another good one, Phil. I got to write that down. Zoinks. If you guys have other ideas, I will try to write them down on my notepad here and get them. And shout out to Snowball, who has been the one. Shout out to him for helping us put it together. He is our aficionado as it pertains to do it. So let me see. So we got Zoinks. That's a good one. And if you guys have other ones, I need a better pen than yellow. Let me get here. Okay, we got a purple here. Okay, so we got, let's go Zoinks. That one's on there. And any other ones you guys want to see, make sure you let me know, and I will put that on the list, and we'll get that over to Snowball. So we got a lot more emojis to add and more to unlock. Like I said, if you guys get ideas, I'll put them on my list here for Snowball. But let's get right into the show today. Again, guys, you guys can like the video, hit subscribe. We're streaming live on the Heavy on Jets Facebook page, youtube.com/BoyGreen25, and on Twitter @BoyGreen25, and it is later uploaded as a podcast wherever you listen to your podcast. So the pass Esden senior emoji, that's another good one. I know I'm going to get super distracted today, like a hop on pop maybe. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, but I'll put that one on the list. I'll be super distracted today, like a raccoon with a shiny object. Every time I see a good idea, you guys put there in the comment section. But Jeremy Fowler every day this week has been releasing a national ranking. Again, he spoke to 80 individuals that are in some ranking of coach, scout, or league executive to figure out the top 10 at all the key positions in the NFL. And one of the ones that dropped this week is pass rusher. And leading into it, one of them that I assumed would be on the list, excuse me, is Hassan Reddick. I'm like, obviously, he's going to be on the pass rusher list. How in God's green earth could he not be? And, well, the list came out, and Hassan Reddick wasn't on it. And we'll tell you about another individual. Of a full column in the YouTube description down below on this very topic, where you guys can see some more of the data and stuff we'll be talking about here on the show. And I'm going to be honest, there's a couple of things I have a problem with. So the youngster not being on there that we're going to talk a little bit, I have no problem being on there. He shouldn't be on there yet, but we'll talk about why he could be on there. But the other one that I want to talk about is Hassan Reddick. How in God's green earth is he not on a top 10 pass rusher list? That makes absolutely no sense. 0 sense whatsoever. And there's no bias. There's no nothing involved. It's straight up. He wasn't included in the top 10. And yeah, sure, he was thrown in honorable mention, but there were 6 guys there in honorable mention. I mean, come on, man. What are we talking about here? Unfreaking believable. Last year he had 11 sacks. And it's important to note that Jeremy Fowler puts this in his little introduction as he starts each article to say this is not a lifetime achievement award and this is not a 5-year projection, that this is a list ranking the best current players at their position. So, for instance, Breece Hall, they believe, the people they talk to, is the number 2 running back in the league right now. And Hassan Reddick, I was like, makes absolute sense that he is a top pass rusher right now. It doesn't have to be a projection, doesn't have to be in anything. And he was not. And again, there are 2 sacks aren't everything, but they're a big part of the equation when you're evaluating pass rushers. And there are 2 pass rushers inside the top 10 of this list that had less sacks than Hassan Reddick last year. Nick Bosa, 10.5. Brian Burns, 8. Now you say, Paul, it's only a half a sack on that first guy, Nick Bosa. So what? It's more. And then number 2, Brian Burns, he has 8 sacks. And let me just go in on Brian Burns here for a second. Formerly of the Carolina Panthers, now a member of the New York Giants. He's had 1 double-digit sack in his career. So in a current state, he doesn't beat Hassan Reddick. And in a career state, he doesn't beat Hassan Reddick. We're not even talking about a Lifetime Achievement Award. But if there was that, he would lose that too. Hassan Reddick has 4 straight double-digit sack seasons. In 5 years, Brian Burns has 1 double-digit sack season. It didn't come this past year. It came in 2022. So I don't know how we're evaluating this, and Hassan Reddick does not make the list. Is the long story short. Absolute snub job for this young man. And he's going to be an important piece to the puzzle. The straw that stirs the drink. No question about it. And as we've been going through this list, now, I'm not blinded. I know there are certain positions. I see Clancy here, part of the Boy Green Coffee Club. He's mentioning a lot of the things that we have. The corner one comes later, but we have a top. So we have, according to the Jeremy Fowler rankings, we have the number 2 defensive tackle. We have the number 2 running back. And that's all we have so far. I think the safety list comes out this morning, and it's, whatever. He's not going to be in there. But I'm not blinded by that. We're not going to have a safety on the list. There might be a few lists where we don't have anybody on there. But I just don't understand that. So let's talk about pass rushers right now. Again, sacks aren't the number 1 thing that let me take that back. It is a very important part of the puzzle. It's not the only thing is what I mean. When you're evaluating pass rushers, it's not just sacks. But sacks is up there. That's how you determine one pass rusher from another. And Hassan Reddick had more sacks than Bosa. He had more sacks than Burns. And both those guys were in the top 10 of Jeremy Fowler's list. I don't know, man. I throw a challenge flag. I got a challenge flag prop back here, but it's hard to kind of do it on camera. I don't really know what to do it. Like Danny, our good buddy Danny on Twitter says, Bosa is better than Reddick. That's not what the stats say, man. That's not what the stats say. 4 straight double-digit sack seasons for Hassan Reddick, and he had more sacks than Bosa last year. Again, there's some people that I think are sleeping on Hassan Reddick, that they're not giving him love. I don't know why. I don't know if there's just a lot of talent on the Eagles defense or what, but Hassan Reddick is going to be a freak with this scheme and this talent on the Jets defense. Okay, keep sleeping on Hassan Reddick. That's fine and dandy by me. But people, for everyone who's been, and it's hard because some Jet fans have said he's not here, we don't need him. Oh, we need him. He is an important piece of the puzzle. He has 50.5 sacks over the last 4 years. That is 4th best in the NFL. Let me repeat that one more time. Hassan Reddick, 50.5 sacks over the last 4 years. That's a pretty good sample size. 4 years. Number 4 in the NFL. Only 3 players have more. But okay. Keep sleepy on Hassan Reddick. That's a choice. What in the flying hoot is what I say. But that is neither here nor there. I will give a shout out. Zach Rosenblatt is the other one. So we talked about the Jets pass rusher who gets snubbed. That's Hassan Reddick. He gets snubbed on the list. But the other one that's looming is Jermaine Johnson. Now, I just want to say right off the top that I am not surprised at all that he did not crack the list. He didn't deserve to crack the list. He has 7.5 sacks. He had 7.5 sacks last year and 2.5 sacks the year before. He absolutely did not deserve to be on the list. No question about it. I'm not saying that. But he's looming, and Zach Rosenblatt believes while he wasn't mentioned on the list that we just had. And let me get back to him in a second. I can't, we get a new membership and we got to celebrate. So let's hit the friggin' music, baby. Shout out to our guy, Jared B, baby, for handing out a YouTube membership. And that goes to Central Valley Jetsiano. He gets the membership, and he's officially a member of the Boy Green Coffee Club. What a wonderful gift. And I believe, Jared, if I'm doing my math right, that takes us up to 60 members to unlock more emojis for whatever reason for YouTube. We have to get 15 more, so we'll see if we could get to that at some point, either today or later this week. We'll see what happens there. But 15 members away from unlocking even more emojis, so we'll keep an eye out for that. Jared, excellent work. Thank you, man. And Central Valley, welcome to the gosh darn show, baby. Beautiful. Our memberships have been growing exponentially, and what a great family. This is spectacular. So thank you, Jared, for that. And paint in the chat green. Again, when you guys get memberships, I'm just seeing green, green, green. Boy, green, green Jets, green, green, green everywhere, quite frankly. So love it. Shout out to Jared B for the YouTube membership. Whether you buy it for yourself or you buy it for others, you can gift memberships as well. That option is available. But going back real quick to Jermaine Johnson for a second. So not only was he not in the top 10, he wasn't mentioned with the 6 honorable mentions. And then at the absolute bottom of the article, scroll, he said Jeremy Fowler has a list of the also receiving votes. Anyone else that received votes. And that included another list of 9 players. And Jermaine Johnson, long story short, you do that math. Beep, boop, bop, 10 and the 6 and the 9 and the this and that. 25 pass rushers were named in all. And Jermaine Johnson did not make that list of the top 25. This is a huge year coming up for Jermaine Johnson. Absolutely huge year. Again, he should not have been in the top 10. That's not what I'm saying at all. He had 7.5 sacks last year. There's 46 in the NFL. That's not what I'm saying. What I am saying is, if he wants to rise to another level, well, this is the year to do it. Because if we're being honest and we evaluate the core 4 of the 2022 NFL draft, we're talking Sauce Gardner. We're talking Garrett Wilson. We're talking Breece Hall. And then, of course, Jermaine Johnson. Sauce Gardner is the best cornerback in football. Yeah. Garrett Wilson is borderline top 10. I probably wouldn't put him in the top 10 until he has his crazy year. But on NewYorkJets.com, they had a CBS Sports list that did feature Garrett Wilson inside the top 10. So I'm not quite there yet. He has to have the season to rise to that level. But still, so Sauce, number 1 corner unquestioned. Garrett Wilson, borderline top 10 receiver. And Breece Hall was just ranked as the 2nd best running back in football by the Jeremy Fowler ranking, behind only Christian McCaffrey. So those guys are all doing spectacular, quite frankly. Jermaine, he didn't make the top 25 of that list. So Jermaine, if he wants to rise to the core 4 level, which is the standard that has been written, it may not be fair because this is a historic draft class, but it is what it is. That's what you're competing against. It's a massive year for Jermaine because of this. I've mentioned this before. Sauce is the easiest contract in history. He's going to be the highest paid corner when he's available next year. We'll see if any other corners are paid between now and then to change the number. But he's the number 1 corner. Easy. Garrett Wilson, if he has the crazy year everyone projects him to have, that one's easy. Draw the line at $30 million per year, probably. Again, depending on how crazy. If it's like breaking Brandon Marshall's records, okay, maybe it's even in a higher category than that. But if he has that kind of year, which we're expecting, then a $30 million plus per year contract, okay, that one's easy. Boop, boop. And then Breece Hall, same sort of thing. If he has that Garrett Wilson-ish year this year, that conversation's easy. Jermaine's the one that's hard. So his 2.5 sacks his first year. He didn't play a lot. It's not really all his fault. So you're like kind of like, I don't know, need to see more. Last year you see more, and the arrow's pointing up, but he's not a double-digit sack pass rusher. He was really dominant and really good in all the different facets against the run, pass rush, all that stuff. You evaluate the whole picture. If he has a double-digit sack this year, you're like, whoa, okay, now he's risen to another level. But if he stays in that 5, 6, 7 range, the Calvin Pace range, I'll put it, it's a little bit more complicated to assess his proper value contractually speaking, because Jermaine will say he's this, but the stats will say he's this, but he holds the keys. If he has a crazy year, which by the way, he should, it's another year in the system. All these guys that have been in the system for years, there's a continuity here, which is spectacular with Jeff Ulbrich and Saleh on this team. The talent, Hassan Reddick, Quinnen Williams, Will McDonald. I mean, go through the list. Jermaine should have a lot of favorable matchups in theory. And now I didn't even talk about the back end of the defense. Sauce Gardner, DJ Reed, Michael Carter, the second, Quincy. I mean, a Rolodex of people. Keep going through the list. So it's all in Jermaine Johnson's hands, is the long story short of it. And he controls that narrative. So he wasn't in the top 10. He wasn't in the 6 honorable mention. He wasn't in the 9 receiving votes. But Jermaine Johnson holds the keys to get in the bag. He is eligible, of course, for a contract extension starting next offseason after he completes his 3rd season in the league. And with that, of course, with the production comes the pay. And with the pay comes the respect. And the respect, of course, of surging up that list next year. Jeremy Fowler's been doing this for the last 5 years. So we got one that gets snubbed and one that has an opportunity to create his own path moving forward. Again, we have a full column down below in the YouTube description. Feel free to check it out. Now, let me try to get through some of your questions and comments here. We'll also open up the phone lines here on the show. Central Valley. What is the record in sacks for a Jets defense as a team? Ooh, that's a good one. Let me see. Jets team sack record. That's a good number to know. Let's see what that is. My guess would be in the 60-ish range, but let's see. Yep, it was 1981, 66 sacks. That's the most sacks I've ever had in a single season. 66, according to the internet. 66, 81. 1981 was the year. So we'll see if they could get that. They got a lot of double-digit sack potential guys. Reddick, of course, who's done it 4 straight years. Quinnen's done it before. Jermaine hasn't done it yet, but you think he's possible. It's impossible to really know with a guy like Will McDonald. Could he? Maybe. Could he not? I don't know. He had 3 sacks, but maybe he can make a jump. I mean, you see the talent. Again, I was at the Hall of Fame game, his first ever game, which was a preseason game. And he was pulling out Dwight Freeney spin moves, and I'm like, oh, my Lanta. If this guy is on, it's going to be tough to stop, especially when he's not the number one guy that you're protecting against. So, oh, my good golly. So long story short, you start getting some of those double-digit sack stat guys. That's a tongue twister. You get a bunch of those adding up. That'll get you to the 66 pretty quick. But you couldn't nickel and dime it. You could have like a Reddick and, I don't know, a Jermaine or something. Both having like 10, 11, 12 or more maybe. And then the rest of the guys, you have a lot of 5, 6, 7, 8s. And then you add all that up, maybe you get to that 66. Yeah, Matthias, another member of the Boy Green Coffee Club here. Reddick, one-on-one is a beast, and with the defensive line, that is what he will get. One-on-ones, Reddick, 12 sacks. Again, that's what I'm loving about this scheme and this talent is that you guys get some of that action there rolling. All of a sudden, we get pretty freaky pretty quick. And all of a sudden, we could get all the numbers. Yeah, so Zoinks is on my list. I got, green's my favorite color, too. So Zoinks, Esden Sr., a hop-on-pop one. That's a funny one. I have BMAC on my list. That's another one. Some of you callers, BMAC, a Bobby. That's another one I got to put on there for sure. Yeah, Clutchy did not make the top 25. Yeah, Jeremy Fowler's a top 10 list, and there's a 6 group of honorable mention, and then a 9 group of receiving votes. Jermaine did not make the top 25, so he's got work to do to earn respect across the league. Quinnen was really good. He didn't have the sacks last year, but he was awesome. He was absolutely awesome. So, again, sacks don't always tell the story, but, yeah. That's for damn sure. Yeah, you guys, for these emojis, you can either type them up or there should be an emoji thing on the screen where you guys could just click the ones that come up available there instead of having to just do the typing out thing. Either way works. Yeah, I believe you're supposed to be able to type things and then it comes up as emoji. So like the bananas and stuff like that. But maybe the easiest way is just to do it as a straight up emoji. Uncle Tio joining the chat and looking forward to talking with Uncle Tio. He's a good guy. Yeah, Clancy said, yes. Yeah, with the amount of memberships you gain personal emojis. So sure, Paul has built up some to begin with because I hadn't been doing them previously. So the natural members that were already in, but now that we could get emojis in, the more people, the more members we get, the more emojis. And I looked it up. The next YouTube membership level is 75 members. So I believe we're 15 away from that, somewhere in that ballpark. So if we get 15 more memberships, we get even more emojis. And me and Snowball are working together to come up with a list of ones that make sense. I'll also open up the phone lines here. Let me throw in the link to join today's show. Fiery show today. I love it. I love it with all the pass rusher talk. That was what I felt pretty passionate about this morning. And I got to write about it in a column. That was very nice. That's a cool part of the job is you get to write a little, get to do some shows and all that jazz. That is now the pinned message, by the way, on YouTube if you'd like to call into today's show. Let me see if this came through. Yeah, let me see if this one came through. This is a weird bit I might do here if this video is ready before the end of the show. Something embarrassing, but I think that others hopefully will be able to kind of join me so I don't feel alone and like an idiot. Oh, yeah, it looks like it came through. So, again, guys, hold on actually on the calls. Wait on this. Okay, let me see if I could get this in here. Yeah, let me see. 1 second. Hold on. Hold on tight. Hopefully the audio is good here for this, but yeah, the video's loading. We'll get back to that in a second. Okay, I'll let that load in the background while I'm working on something else. Okay. Jared B, real quick. Paul, how about the article on sweetening Hassan's contract? Yeah, I heard that from Rich Samini. Yeah, that's been the talk of the town, basically. I've heard that from guys like Rich and Zach Rosenblatt and others. There seems to be an emphasis by the Jets not to give him a brand new deal, Reddick, like shred it up and give him something crazy. From my understanding, that is not something they want to do. So thus, sweetening it is the compromise in the middle where, again, you give him sack incentives like 10 sacks, 12 sacks, 15 sacks, whatever sacks. I would imagine to be sack incentivized, but maybe it wouldn't be. Maybe there's something else. And then guaranteeing some of the money. I think that's probably the best way to go about it moving forward. So, yes, I did see that from Rich. There you go. Tio said, I got the Jermaine Johnson 11 jersey on today for the snub. The Apex Predator. What a great name, too. What a great name. Absolutely great name. Wait, let me see. Okay, it's ready. So, okay, guys, this is not a super long video, but I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to play a clip. I got to call into the Rich Eisen show. I'm a massive fan of the Rich Eisen show and Rich Eisen himself. And he does a kind of a simulcast TV radio show. So you can watch it on the Roku channel for free. You can just watch his show. I normally consume it on YouTube. That's kind of how I watch it as I travel to the radio station or I'm at the radio station. But I called into the Rich Eisen show for the very first time. And I explained why, and I'll explain a little bit after. Hopefully you guys can rally around my problem. Like the Rich Eisen show is about to celebrate, I believe its 10th year in existence coming up later this year. And that's awesome. And I've been a fan since the very beginning, but I didn't call in until this week. I called in for the first time. You're going to hear me just in a second on the Rich Eisen show. But I didn't call in not because I didn't want to, but because, well, I didn't know how. Anywho, here's the video.
Let's go to the phone line right now. This one interests me, and everybody on hold, don't worry, we're going to get to everybody on this show today. Paul in Syracuse, you're here on the Rich Eisen show. What's up, Paul?
Rich,
what's up?
It's great to be on the show.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for joining the program. What's on your mind?
Well, I'm going to be honest, Rich. Been a fan of the show for a long time.
Okay.
Really enjoyed it. But this is the first time I'm calling in.
All right.
And the reason being is, I'm on the website right now. You can see it on the social media. The call-in number is 844-204-RICH.
That's right.
Yeah. The problem is wow, it's pretty embarrassing. I didn't know how to call in to the Rich part. You know what I mean? So I've attempted to call in before, and this is embarrassing to admit. I type in the 8, the 44, the 204, and then I'd be like, all right, let me try to type in Rich. Okay, that doesn't work. And then I just start yelling at the phone, Rich,
Right.
Siri, Alexa, Rich. And so finally I've gotten past that hurdle today for the first time in probably a decade or so. Yeah.
Congratulations, Paul. Should I change it to 844-204 Paul? Would it have been easier for you to figure that one out, Paul?
7424. It might have been an easier path.
Okay.
But, yeah.
Do you have problems with buttons in life otherwise, Paul? Or are you you're just not a button guy? Or you're more of a princess phone guy from back in the day? Is that what it is?
Makes it worse, you know?
Okay.
You know, I'm a radio host, so that's probably much.
You do sound like you've got the voice. You had like I was going to ask you if you were like a stand-up. You sort of had like that stand-up cadence going right there.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Okay.
Yeah, perhaps, never too late, you know? Maybe I could get into that.
So is that it? I mean, were you calling in about calling in? Like, is that really what your subject is? Is that it?
You know, now that I've kind of checked it off the bucket list, I now feel more free. I feel like now I can call in a few more times more often. And what better way to start than calling about the start of the call for the call.
Paul in Syracuse going very deep with us. Thanks for the call, Paul.
Meta, very meta.
Rhymed. Better call Paul.
Shout out 315.
Right here.
7424
All right.
in case you also
See,
can't
I was
spell.
wondering what that was about.
7424.
And I found out.
Yeah.
Just found out.
Calling in about calling.
All right.
And I want to make this clear, okay? Because you guys all may say, Paul, you're an idiot. Okay, I want to make this very clear. I know how to spell Rich. Who doesn't? R-I-C-H. Very simple. But okay, I'm just going to show you this, okay? Because, again, maybe people aren't understanding what I'm saying, all right? So you've seen infomercials, right? Where they got numbers, right? Like 1-800-CALL-NOW, right? We've all seen that, okay? And I've seen it, like on the TV, 1-800-CALL-NOW. I know how to type in the 1-800 part, 1800. And when you call on your phone, right? It's okay. Look, I'm going to show this on the screen. I'm not, okay? So you see this, okay? Okay. The digits 2 through 9, there's at least 3 letters on every, one doesn't have anything, but if you look in that, right? Like 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, right? You see all that, right? Yeah. So that's how you type a number. But I was like, okay. So I used to have this BlackBerry phone, and it has the same thing. Like the 2 is ABC, but to get to the C, you had to hit 2 like 3 times. You had to go 2. No, I don't want the A. Nope, I don't want the B. I want the C. Here we go. So I used to have this BlackBerry, and that's what you had to do to text. Okay, so again, it says ABC under the 2 and DEF under the 3, and you had to like hit it multiple times to get to the letter. Okay, so I said call now. Like, do I have to go 222? Because like I hit it 3 times, that's the C. So I was very confused. Anywho, long story short, I've tried to call the Rich Eisen show before. I'm like, okay, let me go to Rich. Okay, R is under the number 7, but it's a 3rd letter in. I'm like, do I hit it 3 times? What do I do here? And then the I is over on the 4, but it's a 3rd letter. The C is under the 2, but it's a 3rd. I'm like, what the? How do you do this? Okay, and then every once in a while, I'm gonna be. This is stupid. You heard it a little bit on the Rich Eisen show. Like, I'd be like 1-800. So his real number is whatever it is. So I have it on Twitter here. His real number is, let me pull it up so you guys can see it. It is, So his real number is 844-204-RICH. So in the past, as I've attempted to try to call into the Rich Eisen show, and I couldn't type it, like typing, it was doing nothing. Like, it'd just be like, the number you have called, the number you have dialed does not work. I'm like, okay, all right. So I'd go 844-204, and then the next 4, again, is Rich. I would just start screaming, 844-204 to my phone, Rich, I'm trying to get Rich. And like Siri, Rich, or Alexa, Rich. And so I was trying to get that to work. Obviously, that did not work. And long story short, we get to the radio show like this week, my real radio show, like the one I do in Syracuse that I will be doing after this show. I'm like, I bring it up on air. Like, guys, I'm an idiot. This is before the Rich Eisen call, because again, I still don't know how. So I bring it up on the radio show. I'm like, guys, how does that work? What do you do? And then I've walked them through this whole story, and they all called me an idiot. Absolutely called me an idiot. And they said, Paul, it doesn't matter if it's the 3rd letter or the 4th letter on any of these numbers. You just type in the name. So in theory, if you go, let me again pull it up here. So we got 844-204, and then I got to type in Rich. it would be 7, 4, 2, and then 4. Boom. That's it, Paul. You just spell it out. And I was like, oh, I see. And then I was able to call in. So I called in the first time earlier this week. And like, yeah, it's a Rich Eisen show. And then I hung up. I was like, oh my God, it worked. This is spectacular. I'm like, calm down, Paul. All right, let's call in again. And then I called in and I said, hey, Paul in Syracuse. And I said, actually, they said, well, so they asked for your name. Like, where are you calling from? I'm like, okay, it's Paul in Syracuse. And then they say, what do you want to talk about? And I'm like, well, this is going to be kind of weird, but I want to call in about calling in. He's like, call in about calling in. This screener, it's not Rich Eisen. It's whoever the guy works for the Rich Eisen show. I'm like, yeah, I want to call in about calling in. And he's like, okay, this should be funny. Boop, puts me on hold, and all of a sudden there you are. Yep. So, yeah, gonna be honest, pretty embarrassing. But I think before you get to the phone lines, I see there's people waiting to jump on the show. I think there are more people like me that didn't know how. If you're being honest with yourself, it's very easy. I'm low-hanging fruit. I could be an idiot. A lot of people want to make fun of me, and that's fine if you do, okay? Because I got thick skin, okay? But more people are probably like me. They've probably seen those TV commercials and had no idea how to call in. What am I doing? No idea. Not sure. Absolutely unclear. And for those out there, I'm with you. I now know how, but before I didn't. For 30 years on this planet, 31 years and change, I had no idea how to do that. But yeah, all you guys are asking for my dad's take on this. I will make sure I either replay that. Yeah, I'm probably going to have to if my dad isn't on here. Rich Eisen Show, Dad, Hop on Pop. I put that in my notes, so I'm sure he's going to get a real kick out of that. He will probably also call me a moron, but that's neither here nor there. So that's true. I was able to call into the Rich Eisen Show for the first time. Spectacular. And there we are. Anywho, let's go to our phone lines, and luckily I don't have to type anything in for this. I can just click this button and bring them on. Ricky New York Live joins us here on the program. What's up, Ricky?
Hey, how's it going, Paul? And in your defense, that might be more of a BlackBerry problem than a Paul problem. Because I had one of those phones at one time too, and I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, that makes me feel a little bit better that you understand that part. Excellent, great.
Right. I like I said, I know exactly what you're talking about with that. And do you really want to show your dad that clip? Don't you get critiqued by him enough? Like
I do. Yeah, I'm seeing people in the chat are the ones. They're the ones looking for it. I keep seeing people in the chat say, "Oh my God, I need his father's opinion on this." Oh wow, you got to show that to your dad. And then also, did I ride the short bus? So yeah, there's a lot of comments in here. A lot of comments. So it's probably a poor decision to do it, but just to get his take on it. Yeah. Hopefully I don't have to do that, but there might be a chance that comes up this weekend. Yes. Yeah.
Right on. Going back to our, what our, I guess the original topic for the show was about. First of all, I don't see how on earth they left Reddick off that list. Like that's crazy. Double-digit sacks 4 years in a row. Like that should be like a foregone conclusion that he is on that list.
I thought so.
And, as far as Jermaine, like I know that he didn't hit that double-digit, threshold yet.
Mm-hmm.
But, looking back, in particular, the Browns game, the great play that he made there. I mean, he shows up in other areas besides just rushing the passer. Phenomenal player. And I think he's going to take yet another step this year. And it's going to, we're going to get that from him. Just out of curiosity, I want to ask you a question. I was actually going to bring this up on Bobby's show yesterday, but the conversation got sidetracked somehow before I managed to get to it.
Yeah.
What is the most dominant player that you've watched in person? Like Ted actually brought up something was talking about like LT yesterday, like Lawrence Taylor LT.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, yeah, you watched him, but you watched him on TV, like in person. Like I wanted to know, like, what's like for me personally.
Yeah,
I would have to say that John Abraham was probably the most dominant player that I had seen in person. Dude, oh man, I love me some Abraham. Like he can literally take over a game and change the complexion of a game single-handedly. Talking about sacks, I want to see that guy that can get 4 or 5 sacks in one game. I miss those days.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't think Jet fans give Abraham enough love. I wish he would have been able to stay here longer. Of course, it's the NFL. We all say that, but John Abraham's trade is the pick that gave us Nick Mangold, and that changes that history of the second half of Kevin Mawai. So, it goes both ways, but, speaking purely on Abraham, he was a friggin' beast, and I would have loved to see him again. We talk for so long, and Jet fans know this. It's our inside joke thing that we had for so long is, man, we need our next best pass rusher since John Abraham. And we talked about that for seemingly 15 years or something. Like, oh, those were the days. So he would be, he's a great one. But in terms of, and I love the caveat on this, not just watching on TV. If it's live, and I've been, and this is purely in football strictly, right, Ricky? Here?
Yeah.
Okay. Because I've had the pleasure of going to a lot of different sporting events. And I would have to say Darrelle Revis then is the one I saw to see a Pro Football Hall of Famer to be able to be there for games of his career and then be there in Canton when he went into the Hall of Fame. I know he's a bit of a dick, but, in terms of the pure football, how can you deny that? And seeing it, he has to be number one on the list. Of course, you could go the other way and give a Tom Brady or something. Unfortunately, I saw his ass too many times. So he, I guess, is in a reverse way on the list. But right. Probably Revis, I would say, going back. Because, I guess I went to a Cowboys-Jaguars game like in the late 90s, early 2000s. But I don't know if any of the triplets were still left when I went. So that could have been another one of the Hall of Famers of Aikman, Irvin, or Smith. So I can't remember if they were still there when I went to that one. But so those would be the names on the list. But I love that caveat because I think there's a lot of people that have seen more than me, obviously, that have gone to games and seen awesome stuff. Yeah. Like there's great players in the Jets history that, like Joe Klecko, someone's mentioning Joe Klecko. I never got the opportunity, unfortunately, to see any Joe Klecko games live. That would have been freaking sweet, or any of the Sack Exchange for that matter. So some of our older listeners in here will be able to name drop some of that, and that's pretty cool. Or Curtis Martin. Terrence Hill just mentioned that one in here. I would have loved to see freaking Curtis Martin. He's one of the OGs. I mean, he would have been great.
You know what? One of my very, very favorite memories ever was from a game here in Tampa, and it was the one where Keyshawn said, "I'm a star," and Corbett is a flashlight, and then Curtis Martin threw the pass to Corbett to win that game. Like I was there in person for that game, and that's definitely something that I will never ever forget. One of my very favorite memories ever. Absolutely amazing, and you know what's funny is because I live in Tampa, I get people all the time invite the Tampa games, and I usually don't go because I'm not a Tampa fan, but on the rare occasions that I do take people up, I usually base it on whatever opponent they're playing. Like, oh, wait a minute, they're going to be playing Jamar Chase is going to be here this weekend or something, or Aaron Donald will be here this weekend or whoever, and so I take those opportunities to see guys that or maybe from out of market that I ordinarily wouldn't see because, who knows? Cool. Some of these guys that eventually be Hall of Famers, who knows if I'll get a chance to see them live again. So once in a while, I take up those, opportunities when they come my way. But in general, unless they're playing the Jets, I really don't care, which next year they will be. So, I will be there for that for sure. But
that's awesome.
That's pretty much it today, Paul. Don't lose your gosh darn bananas. You need that potassium. Very important for your health. Have a great day.
All right. Love you, Ricky. Thanks for jumping on the show. That's awesome. Oh, boy. Okay. We got a new emoji. Snowball just sent this in. Let me take a gander. I will add this live here on the show. Oh, that's awesome. Shout out to Snowball. Okay, I'm about to add this to the group. We got another new emoji. This is so cool. Snowball is freaking doing this live here on the show. Yeah, we needed this, and this is an easy one to put on the list. No doubt about it. Thank you, Snowball, for this. You guys should see that new emoji in there right now. There is a Zoinks emoji that just got added to the group. Thank you, Snowball, for that. So again, the more memberships we get, maybe the more emojis we can build up. And because we have a little bit of a build up here, because I just got into the emoji game this week, there it is, Central Valley with the first Zoinks emoji. Beautiful. You love to see it. Spectacular. Snowball is doing God's work here, baby. So Zoinks. So let me cross that one off the list. Nice job, Snowball. And I will try to get a good image for a Hop on Pop, Esden Senior one, B-Mac, Bobby, a couple of the other guys in here. We'll have to get some good ones, but Snowball doing God's work, baby. Let's give a proper. We won't do the membership, but. Shout out to Snowball for another emoji that is in there, and you guys should see several in there now because we have. Let me make sure I get this right. Where was this? Oh, I got to go back here. All right, members. All right, let me look at the emoji section. Okay, so we've got how many emojis now? Let me look here. 1, 2, 3. We got 4 emojis right now. We got the Boy Green Coffee Club. We got Boy Green myself. We got the bananas, Brian from Family Guy, and then Zoinks. Beautiful. Love that. So we got there. Yeah, Snowball is the man. 100% Matthias. He is God's gift to Earth. And we have him on here as our official emoji aficionado here on the program. So shout out to him for that. I love it. Absolutely. And we'll be paying attention to a couple more of these Jeremy Fowler lists. Those ones are kind of fun, so we'll keep an eye out for that to add a couple more here to the rotation. I'd love to continue to react to some of these Fowler lists here. Those are really fun, and we should have a few more Jets featured. I believe Garrett Wilson will be on that wide receiver list in some form or fashion. Obviously, we've got Sauce Gardner. He's going to be number 1 on that list. I'd be surprised if he isn't. Let me try to think. Rodgers, now, I don't know if he ends up being top 10 according to their list, but he's at least honorable mention. Let me see any other positions. Obviously, off-ball linebacker. Quincy Williams, number 1. We might have both, Quincy Williams and C.J. Mosley, for the first time. We might have 2 guys in the top 10. So that could be another one that potentially we see from that perspective. So let's keep an eye out. And Quincy Williams, we already saw. Brees, we saw. Yeah, we got a few more. We'll see on any of the offensive linemen. Those ones are a little tougher. Tyron Smith probably will be on that list as well. But TBD for some of those guys for coming on. But thank you. A couple of quick shout-outs here. Thank you to Snowball for all of the emojis. Again, that's really cool. All right, let me go through a couple more questions here, and then we'll sign off the show. I got, by the way, real quick, and I will do Jared B's question here as well. Guys, we will be live today. Now, normally it's 3 o'clock on Tuesdays and Thursdays, but the Syracuse Mets had a rain out yesterday, and with thoughts and prayers to everyone with the tornado situation, which is or / hurricane. So tornado situation kind of here locally. We actually had some trees. Thankfully, I didn't leave the radio station when I was going to. I might have been killed by a falling tree, which is no joke. There were several falling trees in the middle of the highway yesterday from all the weather. So all the people who have been affected by the weather, I'm thinking about you guys right now. There was some really, really scary stuff happening down there, and it's come up here to the northeast, and we've had some stuff in the New York range for that. So shout out to everyone that's dealing with all of that stuff. For the Syracuse Mets, they didn't have a game yesterday, though, because of the weather stuff. So they got a doubleheader today, which moves up the game. I cover all the Syracuse Mets day games during the week. So that's normally Tuesday through Friday, any of those games. So we didn't have a game yesterday, doubleheader today. So it's a little earlier. So long story short, I have to cover that game. So I couldn't do a 3 o'clock show because I'll be on the radio. So we're doing it at 2 o'clock. So for people that want to tune into my 2 o'clock show, Boy Green Meets Woody, or my Boy Green Meets Woody show, it will be at 2 o'clock today with me, Woody, and a Threesome Thursday. We'll have another guest joining us for that. All right, Snowball is going to go enjoy some pizza. Enjoy the emojis, everybody. So, okay, Snowball signing off. God bless. Thank you, Snowball, for doing all that jazz. You're the best, and we will continue to work on that behind the scenes. There's no doubt about that. But, yeah, so long story short, 2 o'clock show today is when we'll be back on live here on the program. That will be coming up at 2 o'clock. Shout out to Snowball. All right, let's get Jared B's thing in here. Paul, 3 quarterbacks in a slot for a dream team defense. Oh, my good golly. Darrelle Revis obviously has to be on the list. Sauce Gardner obviously has to be on the list. Not even thinking about it. Darrelle Revis is a Pro Football Hall of Famer. Sauce Gardner is the first cornerback ever to be a first-team All-Pro through his first 2 seasons. He automatically has to be on the list before I even think of anyone else. And now let's go here. You want to, like, Michael Carter is great, so he may be Cromartie. Ty Law had a great year. Go back. Man, Aaron Glenn, James Hasty. Oh, boy. Hoo-wee. Oh, boy, there's a lot of – the Jets have had some really good corners. Some really good corners. Let me go through this. I rushed to Revis and Sauce, and those are 2 great choices. There's just no doubt about it. Aaron Glenn is in the conversation. James Hasty is in the conversation. Bobby Jackson, another one who could be in the conversation. Antonio Cromartie, I mentioned. Oh, golly. You know, for the fun of it, let's put those guys in a room together again. Let's go Sauce, Revis, Cromartie are my 3. And I know I'm being super disrespectful to the older Aaron Glenn's and Hasties and stuff, and I totally get that. So blame me. You know, Ricky was just on. He was talking about players you've seen. I saw Cromartie live. I saw Revis live. I've seen Sauce live. I've seen all 3 of those live. The others from the past, unfortunately, I didn't. Now, that doesn't mean you can't include them. Obviously, I included Kevin Y on the list. I never saw a Kevin Y game, unfortunately. But just with that thought in mind today, because I'm being asked this question today, that would be there. And boy, slot corner, you know what? Screw it. I'll put in Michael Carter the second. I'll be super modern with it. Like I said, that's going to be disrespectful to other people, but those I'll go with those. Those are it. Ray Mickens is another one I hear from Uncle Tio, so he's another one. Aaron Glenn, we're getting some of those votes. I like that. Okay. 3 corners and a slot. Yeah. Boy, agree. But best nickel in Jets history. Who are other, like, you guys will have to help me because we'll have to go back. Sample and Beverly, apparently, or other ones for Matthias. Who are other good slots? Jim Leonard was a safety. I mean, if you put him as like a kind of like a nickel, that'd be kind of interesting if we can play around with that conversation. But yeah, I'll need more of the history buffs for all the pure slot corners that weren't bouncing between boundary and slot. Did Victor Green? I thought he was pure safety, but maybe he played some nickel too. Again, this is going to date me on trying to figure out some of these guys that roll both. If you roll both, then I'll get kind of cute with one of those bigger nickel safeties or something of that nature. No, it looks like straight free safety. But yeah, if I don't have the PFF snap percentages, I don't know how far back they go where you can check some of that stuff to see the versatility of some of these guys back on the back end of the defense. But we'll see. Interesting. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. We got a boy, Hep, here on the show. What's up, Hep?
Hey, friends. I got to talking about seeing great players, you know, being an old timer. I got to see some really good players. I got to see Namath play at Shea. I got to see John Riggins. I got to see Willie Mays as a Met. I got to see play with the Cosmos. Yeah, Willie Mays finished his career as a Met.
Last 2 years. Yeah, I think it was 71, 72. Wow. Okay.
And I was in the hospital. Buddy Harrelson came to visit. Like a bunch of kids. I got his autograph and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah. When you're old, I got to see the Joe Frazier fight. The one that was and it's amazing. I got to see all these things as a kid. My father worked in the garment district, and he used to get all these passes for all these things, you know. And yeah, it was really cool, you know, especially seeing Pele score a goal. You know, that guy was incredible. He was an old man at that time.
But still, wow, that's awesome.
I was at the game when Dennis Bird got paralyzed.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine.
Oh my God. Well, it was before social media, so everything was like dead quiet. You saw the collision, and everything went like the whole air sucked out of the whole place, and everybody's waiting around for like an hour. Like, what's going on? What's going on? No announcements or anything. Green Bean was at that game also. We spoke about that. It was a very
wow. Yeah, especially with no social media. So it would have been like, you know, the only modern example we can make of it is DeMar Hamlin, Bills, Bengals thing we saw. And I was watching it with my fiance, and she was freaking out. But we had social media as this weird comforting / not comforting, but talking about it thing. I can't even imagine being dropped in that situation with obviously how serious that was, and just
Some people thought he
looking
was
at
dead.
each other. Yeah,
Yeah, some
right.
people thought, yeah, we
That would
didn't
be
know.
the only conclusion you could possibly come to, right?
Yeah, how do we get him off the field without making a scene? You know?
Yeah, Jesus. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, it's good seeing you guys. I want to just jump in quick. I have to see every morning. I have to see my grandsons off to school, so that's why I'm a little late coming in. But
Oh, that's okay.
you'll see
Love
someday,
it,
Paul. You'll be a
Appreciate
grandpa
it.
someday.
Oh, yeah,
Love
it's
you,
coming. Thanks, Hap. Yeah, I got a few silvers in the beard. Speaking of John Riggins, shout out to Jet Situation Report. You can't see this. This is too far away, but let me see. You can see the little label here. John Riggins, baby. Shout out to NY Jet Situation Report. Got a nice little autographed John Riggins Jets mini helmet here. Very nice. Shout out Jet Situation Report for that one. So yeah, I got some great merch here. This white hat right here is Jets training camp. I wore that. I love these old hats. Those were great. That was the Reebok days. Got the John Riggins autograph here. We got David Tyree, and I know that's not a Jet thing, but it's a hate Patriot thing, which is close. Plus, I'm a Syracuse guy, former Syracuse product. David Tyree with the helmet catch. I've been able to get to know David Tyree, which is really cool. That's his book. It's autographed, and also over here is the autographed football of that. There's a autographed Madden, and no, Antonio Brown did not autograph that. It's hard to see, but that is autographed by Charles Davis and Brandon Goddard. I know the voices of Madden, so those guys are pretty cool. We got to get Gunny back on the show too. Captain Jet, that helmet, that's a Jet helmet that I could put on my head. That one is from Captain Jet. Shout out to him. He custom made that. It says Boy Green all over it. It's around the 2014, 2015 era, maybe even earlier, because I interviewed Captain Jet on my radio show when the Jet show that was on the radio like 15 years ago. It's something crazy. It was a long time ago is when I had Captain Jet on. Got Play Like You Mean It, got a Sheldon Richardson autograph ball and a bunch of other stuff, plus all these books. I'm a big book nerd, so you guys can see a bunch of the books there as well. But wow, fun show, everybody. Thanks for calling in. Thanks for the emojis to Snowball. Shout out to him for making it possible. Also, shout out to Gator. You can see it when other people are joining us on the show, but the Gator virtual background is super cool as well. So shout out to Gator. We just all come together. It's an awesome Jets community. So we will be back live again. Note 2 o'clock. It's normally 3 o'clock, but it'll be 2 o'clock with Woody and a very, very special guest. Hope you guys can join us for that. God bless. Keep the chat green, and we'll see you next time. Take care.